Hey, Trigger Happy fam. Listen, we are so excited to be back with you for this week's episode. Am I right, Dani?
You are right. This is the one. I feel it. This is going to be great. I'm excited.
Listen, I cannot wait to tap into what we're about to talk about today, primarily because I adore and I really do have a deep affinity for women who have not only tapped into the beauty of finding their own wholeness, acknowledging who they are, what they want, and being unapologetic in pursuit of whatever that is, but I adore women who bring others along. People always say it's lonely at the top, and I call bullshit. It's only lonely at the top if you take no one with you. So we have Koko. She is here with us today. She is a makeup influencer, I say beauty guru, and just a self-love, expert. And she may not call herself all that, but I absolutely do. So we are going to bring her on now and hop right into the conversation because we are acknowledging every trigger that we have. We are bringing it to the forefront and we are dealing with that shit. Okay. All right. So, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, hi, guys. I'm doing great. How are you?
Hi.
It is so good to have you on here.
So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Again, we do not take it lightly when folks who we admire come onto the show. One of the things that I really, really loved about you when I first stumbled across your message was how unapologetic that you were. I think that was what hooked me. I like an unapologetic woman. What about you, Dani?
Yeah, that's how we have to be. We don't have a choice these days.
We don't. If not, we will be walked all over. And that's never the energy. That is never the energy. So you have, for me at least, when I was watching your videos and I was watching what you were saying and how you were saying it, I wanted to kind of like hop into, first, let's define, right? So in this episode, we're talking about, do high standards mean high maintenance? Because so many people either confuse the two or unsure of the two. So what do you think is the difference between high standards and high maintenance? Or do you believe that they're synonymous, like they mean the same thing?
I feel that high standards and high maintenance kind of do go together. I wouldn't really define them as synonymous, but high maintenance is usually taken in a very negative connotation because people usually label a high maintenance woman as somebody who doesn't give anything back, who just demands things that, are coming to her. But I think that if you're high maintenance, it doesn't mean that your man is not high maintenance too. It's not that you're just like catering to me. It's like, I'm going to find a guy who I want to be my best self towards him, but I want him to be his best self. So it's like, it's a mutual uplifting thing. So if I'm demanding XYZ, he's demanding XYZ too. And I'm happy to give it to him because I want to be the best girl for my guy. But people are always taking it out of context. And just because somebody has high standards, like, oh, she's high maintenance. First of all, the topic we all are here because we're here all because of the topic about me saying the dinner for a first date, which is something that should be the basic of dating. That's going like I didn't, that was the most shocking thing for me, that calling me high maintenance because I said dinner on a first date. I'm like, guys, you really set the bar low. So I'm happy we're opening up this conversation.
Now it's coffee dates. Like I keep hearing that. Like guys are asking girls out for the first time to go get coffee.
Not even coffee, just like a walk. And that's my
like what?
That was that was the whole thing, like no to coffee and walk dates. I'm like, why would I'm going to get ready for 2 hours so you can like walk me around the block and like check it out. Exactly. And then I said, I'm not a dog that needs to be walked. And then everybody jumped on me saying, well, what if I like walks? I'm a dog. Like, I'm like, guys, don't take everything so literal. Like I was just, it was a joke. It was obviously meant to be as a joke. If you didn't get it the way I was, hoping it to be, it's not my fault. Like I can't, I can't please everyone, nor that I want to.
Exactly. I can't do anything about how you picked up what I put down. That's your business. That's for you to work out in therapy. That has nothing to do with me.
Right. But why do you think there is such a stigma around the term high maintenance or having high standards? Like, what do you think that is?
I think that, a lot of people are saying like, oh, you need to be humble. You need to be grateful for everything you have. And I get it. Yeah, of course you have to be grateful for everything you have, because if you're not grateful, then more good things are not going to follow. But having standards and being high maintenance, I mean, would you rather be low maintenance? What, you want somebody to call you low effort? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
I'd rather be called high maintenance every day of my life.
Yeah,
seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's my thing with the word humble. I personally don't allow myself and even my friends who say, well, I want to be humble. And I'm like, are you aware of the definition? For me, words mean things like, which is also why too, I'm not letting you just take me out on drinks. I charge people $15,000 for an hour of my time for me to come and speak somewhere. Do you really think? And it's not about you paying a certain price. That's not it. It's about the effort that you put in.
Yeah.
What time are we going? Where are we going? How should I get dressed up? I don't want to start you off on a path that I want you to finish on. Because if you start off just doing the absolute bare minimum, taking me to a dive bar, I don't take myself to dive bars.
Exactly.
Why allow you to do it?
And
no disrespect to those who like dive bars. It's just not for me.
Yeah. And I said the same thing in one of my other videos. If you don't set the standard in the beginning, you can't down the line. And there's always these women who 5 years in, they're like, well, you never take me to dinner. You never do this. You never do that. Well, girl, you didn't set the standard from the beginning. So
you never did it.
You can't just demand like now something grand. If you were totally fine with the walk, I mean, first of all, there's nothing wrong with walks, but it's like I want a guy to chase me. I mean, not chase me, but like try to win me over, put some effort, put time, like show that he cares. Dating became so casual, and that's not my vibe. Like, if I'm going to meet up with you, I want to know that you want to, like, you're actually genuinely interested in me. You just don't want to like a girl for the night or something. So that's a big misconception about this whole thing that I was saying, is that no to coffee and walk dates because like I'm better than that. It's not that. It's that I just really want a guy who really, really want to spend time with me. Absolutely. And not just, going to walk.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because to me, and this is where I get excited when women finally understand. And Toni Jones said it in one of her songs, we're a part of the community that gives souls and spirits bodies. As a woman, whether you ever decide to have a child is completely irrelevant, but you are part of the community that allows for the continuation of life. So why would you not want and require someone to bring their best to you? If you want a Bentley, you don't service a Bentley the same way you service a Toyota or a Honda. And it is absolutely no disrespect. My first car was a Toyota, I think, or maybe it was a Ford. I can't remember. It was a station wagon. Either way, what I'm saying is to whom much is given, much is required. So if you have put time, energy, effort into educating yourself, into therapy to heal your traumas, into clothes, into making yourself feel nice and feel good, into the spiritual aspect of growing yourself, why would you let somebody come in and treat you like a Toyota? Again, there's nothing wrong if you drive a Toyota. I don't think that's what I'm saying. But the service is different. What I paid for an oil change for my Toyota is different from what I paid for an oil change for this Benz. It's different.
It is. And it's not just like we're just women just saying these things. Like I've had conversations with men and they will specifically say that they're taking women on coffee dates that they're not that interested in, or they're not that sure about, or they don't really want to spend money on right now. Yeah. Like, it's not like we're just making this up. Like I have male friends and male family members that'll be like, oh, I'm not trying to spend $200-$300 on her at dinner. Like feel her out first. I want to see if she's worth it. Like these are the things that the standards that they're putting onto you that you're accepting. And then you're wondering why you keep getting men that you really don't want. Like, and then you're just settling. So I'm just like, I don't understand why women are so ready to accept standards that we didn't set for ourselves.
Yeah, and I mean, when I said I'm going to study you a bit, that's exactly what they're doing to us every single day of our lives. Excuse me. I mean, he's going to look at me. He's going to see, do I like her nails? Do I like her hair? Do I like her eye color? Do I like her posture? Do I like this? Do I like that? And then when a woman says something like that, that's a big issue.
Yep.
I'm going to study. Yeah, I will study. And then when they're like, I said like, I want to see if you can hold your chopsticks correctly. So if I'm going to be eating every meal of my life with this person, like, you know how after a while those little small things start annoying you? Like if somebody chews too loud, if somebody's biting their spoon, if somebody's like, I don't know, separating their food in a weird way, like it's going to bother you. It's going to annoy you. So I want to be prepared from the very beginning, just to see like how you interact. And it's not just like table manners. Like obviously everything I said in that video was purposely dramatic because, you know, it's the internet, it has to be dramatic. But I stand behind everything I said, because when I said also study you a bit, that was including how you're going to treat the staff, how you're going to treat people who are below you, how you're going to treat, like, are you going to pull my chair out or not? Like, are you going to open my door? Yeah. And that's all very important to me. And if that's important to me, I'm not going to apologize for that. And if that's not important to you, that's fine. You should find somebody else who's not. Like, you should just find people who are you're matching your energy.
Yeah, I always say that. It's like, why, if you're a certain kind of person, like if you're a guy and you feel like Applebee's is lit, like you just like Applebee's, you think Applebee's is like the greatest restaurant ever, then don't get mad at a girl that wants you to take her to Prime 112 or something. Yeah. Because you can't afford to take her there. Why don't you just find a girl that likes Applebee's too? They're
exactly.
They exist.
So many of women that are completely okay with Applebee's. They'll do the 2 for $20 in a heartbeat. Yeah. Like, don't bash other women and call other women gold diggers or feel like, oh, you feel like you're all that because you want to go to a different type of restaurant. Just stay in your lane and get you a car that's going that way.
And also, like, when it comes to these dinner dates, what I was mentioning, like, it's not that I'm demanding like a Michelin star every single night. Like I also like to go to Shake Shack and McDonald's. Like, everything is time and a place. But at the beginning, when you're trying to court me and try to seduce me or whatever, I want to see some effort. And it's not just the money. And like I also said, a lot of people replied saying, you know, it's COVID, we can't go to restaurants. I said, okay, so let him organize something nice for you. Maybe a picnic if you don't want to go to his house, or this, like, there's many different ways a man can try to impress a woman nowadays.
And if they want to, they will.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. The men who have the biggest argument and the women who are debating the fact that, well, men shouldn't have to. Okay, well, you go get you a low effort man, but I just need you to understand that the energy they start out with is the energy they're gonna maintain the whole time. It don't get
it's gonna even go lower. It's gonna go lower.
Exactly.
It's not gonna be the same thing.
It don't get no better. It's a slow decline. So I want you to start up at the top. So since I know it's going to decline, because when we get comfortable, things, you know, they start to decline. That's just what happens.
That's just fact. Yeah.
Even with breasts, once breasts get comfortable, they start to decline. So if you start here, you only going lower from here. So no, yes, I expect you to start all the way up here, because here's the thing. Whatever people feel like, oh, well, this is what I deserve. Fuck your deserve. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you require. So if you don't require some things, people will only give you, they will match you at the level of your requirements. And those have to be this tall to ride this ride. Even the fair has requirements for you. It has requirements. Why don't we as women have requirements? I feel like it's a fear-based response. They're afraid that nobody will meet their actual desires and requirements, so they just don't require anything. It's just a free-for-all.
So then how do you, this question is for you, Kornelija, for women who are finding themselves and they don't really have a standard, let alone a high one, how do you suggest that a woman raise her standards?
Well, first, I think it's very important who you surround yourself with. Like, if your friends are telling you you're asking too much or this and that, like, you need to make sure that people who are like your friends, your family, that they support you. And if they don't support you, like, I know it can happen, like, just find new people. Or I'd rather be alone. I don't want to be surrounded with people who are telling me I'm too much. You're basically telling me
that's true.
This person who you are, that's not good. And you should be less than you are, and I'm never going to be less than I am. And just like those people can just suck you dry, and then it's of course you don't have any, you don't have energy for anything else. And obviously you should work on yourself. Like you don't some people get born with confidence, some people build confidence after a while. So like you have to work on yourself. You need to find what you're good at, and you need to do what you're good at. So like, I don't know, if you're great at painting, just go to a painting class. People are going to compliment you. You have to be with people who are going to just support what you're doing. And at the same time, obviously watch my videos and you're going to raise your standard very fast. But, but you just like, you have to know what you deserve. And everybody everybody deep down knows what makes them happy. So if a 5-star restaurant makes you happy, you don't have to apologize for that making you happy. Like you just, what makes you happy. So you need to live your life making sure that you are fulfilling your deep, deep wants and needs. So like if you, okay, I mean, I can talk about this like for years. So like, it just makes me really sad when I see what women allow themselves nowadays. And when I was posting that video, and there's a lot of women, I'm 30, like women my age, older than me. I get the younger ones that they just don't know yet. Like when I was 17, I was fine with a walk in whatever. I mean, not really, but I was always a high maintenance. But when I see women who are like my age or older, they're saying there's nothing wrong with a walk. It's like low commitment. Well, that's exactly what you're portraying to this man. Like you're saying, okay, I don't really need much from you. So like, and that shouldn't be the case. If you value yourself as a human being, you should, just ask what you deserve. And then you're going to get it. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Absolutely. There was a guy who the other day, he's like, oh, I would love to take you out for dinner. Or no, he said, I would love to take you out. We can meet up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Where are we going? And he sends me this, this bar. And I was like, oh, that's cute. However, and I said it real nice. I was like, oh, that seems like a really great place. I was like, but here, how about instead we go here? And I gave him another option. I was like, that way there are more items that I can eat, because it was a bar that only had like drinks with like a couple of bites of things I did not eat. And so he's like, oh, well, I don't have time for dinner. I was just going to do drinks.
Oh, really, sir? You don't eat?
I looked and I'm like, first of all, and this is just a me thing, I'm this big. I can't drink more than 2 drinks or else I'm on the floor. That's number one. Number two, if you don't have time, then why are we doing this?
Exactly.
So I forgot to text back because I was just so taken aback by it.
You didn't forget. You didn't want to reply.
I remembered the next day to respond. And then I responded and I'm like, that's okay. I'd really like to get to know you. And I don't feel I'd have an adequate enough time, being as though I don't drink much, to get to know you over drinks. So when you have time, we can go to dinner. But until then, I wish you a phenomenal day.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And something I wanted to touch back on as far as like women that when they want to raise their standards, don't feel like because your standards, you've maybe had low standards in the past, that you're not worthy of raising them. Like, I think sometimes because we've accepted things for so long, we feel like that's all we have to accept, or that's all we can get. And we start to box ourselves in at a certain level, because it's like, well, I had this guy do this and this guy only took me here. And then you start to feel like that's acceptable. And you feel like, okay, you know what? That's just what I'm getting. That's just all there is. And that's not true. So I definitely want women to, with everything Kornelija said, whatever you accepted in the past, you can decide right now that you're not accepting that anymore. And any new person that you meet doesn't know what you've accepted in the past. He's not in there reading your mind like, oh, she wants me to take her to Bioli today, but really she's really used to going to Fridays. Like, he doesn't know that. That's all in your mind. So you decide every day who you're going to be. And you can just stop accepting what you used to accept and decide that you want to raise your standards. It really is just a decision.
And I just want to add one more thing. I think everything, like if a woman knows that everything she wants is there, like it's possible. Yeah. It's just that people are telling you it's not possible. Like I I moved to the States alone when I was 22. I'd spent like 7 years. When I was growing up and I told everybody like, I'm going to move to the States, like, oh, stop it. Like, you're not. I'm like, yes, I will, because I can and I will. So everything you want and you work hard, you can do it. So
absolutely.
And as a simple thing as a dinner date, it shouldn't even be a discussion. That's the saddest part.
Right. It really is. Because here's my thing too, for men who feel they're not financially where they need to be. One of the most thoughtful and kind dates was a man who he asked me, and it was so cute. He asked me, hey, send me a list of your favorite things to eat. And then he's like, and send me a list of your favorite things to drink. What's your favorite liquors? He planned this elaborate picnic with this beautiful like spread, and it had all of my favorite things that I had texted him. I didn't know what he was doing. The level of effort that was put into that, I was so excited to go further with said young man because of the level of effort and energy. If you show me, most women by nature are givers. You give us, a house, we make it a home for you. You give us $1, we parlay that into 1,000. Like, women by nature, we are growers. Again, whether or not you plan on ever having a kid is fucking irrelevant. By default, we grow things. So if you give us the bare minimum, and if as a woman you accept the bare minimum, understand that you're not giving yourself very much seed to grow with. You can't harvest what you don't plant.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's ever a time that a woman should lower or compromise her standards for a man she feels maybe worth it? Like, I've heard women feel like, oh, maybe I'm not getting a man because my list is too long or my standards are too high. So, and then people will tell women like that, like, oh, that's why you're still single, because you're too picky. Do you feel like there is like an exception sometimes to maybe bring it down a notch, or to say, oh, I'm going to let this go or not care about this anymore so I can get a man?
Well, my initial reaction to that is absolutely not. But as we all know, relationships are hard, and you can't get a picture perfect guy. So, and it's not about lowering standards; it's about just compromising, because the relationship is a compromise. So if you're stuck on certain things and they're like the core of your existence, and you're never going to change your mind about that, you shouldn't change your mind about that. But if let's say you said you're never going to date a guy who watches football on Sundays, if he wants to watch football, just let him be. But if you say that you want to have children, and then you're dating a guy who doesn't want to have children, you shouldn't be dating that person. So it's all about things that how important they are in your life, and does it affect your long-term life with that person, and your actual happiness. But for these like basics things, like I said, I would never date a guy who plays video games. So like if I'm dating someone and they want to play a video game that one night, like, okay, I can get through this. But yeah,
I feel like honestly it's having like, what are your non-negotiables? Like, I've got girlfriends who once told me that they don't have standards for a guy. I'm like, and I was confused. I was like, well, what do you mean? And for women who are just starting out or trying to figure out, how do I start this? I'm like, write down what are your basic requirements, or what are your basic non-negotiables? What are the things that you absolutely cannot deal with? Like, I cannot deal with a man who yells at me. If you yell at me, I completely shut down. I come from an abusive marriage, or I've had an abusive marriage. Not I come from, we're not owning that, but I have had an abusive marriage. So I don't deal well with men who yell. If you yell, that's it. I can't, I'm gonna cry. I gotta go. It doesn't work for me. So for me, I say, figure out like what your non-negotiables are. And then like just create 3 bare minimum, 3 standards that you have for a man who you are going to give your time to. And it can be like what you said, require that the first standard is that in order to spend any amount of time with you, it has to be at first a dinner date, or whatever your bare minimum is. If you want to run and go walk on a date with somebody, or even go get coffee because you feel like it's low commitment, okay, cool. But whatever you focus on is what magnifies. So if you know you want a relationship, but you're only requiring people to do low commitment type activities, then understand that's what you're going to get back, because everything boomerangs.
Yeah.
And speaking about, requirements and, non-negotiables, it's been quite a few like viral videos of women, getting down on one knee and proposing to men. I think one woman was pregnant and she got down on one knee
on the beach.
On the beach. No disrespect to sis, because everybody has and does their own thing. But I was so, I guess, heartbroken for sis, because you are literally whole pregnant, about to risk your life to bring his seed into the world, and you're getting down on one knee to ask him to marry you. Okay, everybody's entitled to to do their own thing and what works for them. However, would you consider these women desperate, or would you consider them progressive? Because there is a whole slew of women who are like, no, I'm woman, hear me roar. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, they can do whatever they want. And I'm, as a woman that likes to support women, I'm going to support their choice. And if they're happy, I'm happy. But I personally would never do that, just because I'm more old fashioned and I want a guy. I mean, I want to experience that feeling. Like, I want to see this. I want to have the surprise. I just want a guy to do that for me. But I mean, it's hard because, if a guy's like in history, guys are very, I mean, not in history, actually just recently, but guys are they're hard to commit to someone because they always think there's something else, something better. I mean, I didn't see that video where the pregnant woman, but it's, for them, sometimes it's hard to just put a ring on it, but it probably means that because men are hunters and they know what they want. So if they know what they want, they're not going to let you just slide. So, I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about women who propose their men, but for me, that's not my vibe.
Yeah, I think I agree that if I think men know what they want as well. They know for sure. They actually know pretty quickly. We talked about this before, Alicia, where most men will tell you that they knew that they knew that they wanted to marry a woman within about 5 to 10 minutes of interacting with her. Then there was potential for them to want to pursue it. Whether it works out that way or not is one thing. But they've already decided if you're going to be a one night stand, if you're just going to be like a little side chick, if you're going to be his girlfriend, like they already make that up really quickly. There's very little you can do to actually change their minds. Like if a man is into you, he's into you, and that's it. But if he's not into you, sometimes we get into these situations with men where we think we can change their mind. And I've learned the hard way. That is not how
we all did. I'm sure.
That's not how it works. If they don't like you, they might put you in their pocket. You guys know I call them pocket monsters, and make you a pocket monster. And then all of a sudden you're just kind of there whenever he feels like he can just pull you out to play with you. But for me, that's why I feel like, the proposing, sure, in some ways is progressive for women who think like that. But I also think just on a community type scale for women, it just is going to, I feel like has a lot more potential to backfire, because you're putting you're putting him in some kind of like a cage that for sure he's going to feel trapped in. I just feel like men work that way. Like at some point he's going to feel like, I did this not to hurt your feelings, but this is not what I wanted. Because if he wanted, he would have done it.
I mean, he can't say no. Like a woman can, if a man says no, like, well, what do you do?
I don't know.
Like,
after that, like, I don't know. Would you, like, even as a woman, like, would a man, or could a man stay with a woman after he proposes and she says no? Like, what are the rules of engagement? Like, what?
Yeah. I always wonder that too. Like, if someone proposes and you say no, like, are we still together? Or
I mean, I think they could still be together if maybe it's just not the right time.
Right now. Yeah, that's what I think. I've heard guys, I've asked guys that, like, if you propose to a woman and she says no, he's like, it's over.
Huh? Yeah.
That's it.
I guess you're not at the same wavelength or something.
Yeah, you guys are not in the same space. So I've definitely heard men say that they're not going to stick around for that. But I would hope that, even watching the women that propose to men, I would hope that they maybe had conversations with that man
I mean, you should know, you should have like, especially if you're pregnant, like you should have a conversation whether you're going to get married or not. Like even just the paperwork stuff, like when the child gets married, like whose last name they're going to take, you have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's definitely it's definitely an interesting type of thing that some women are choosing to do. I won't say good or bad, yes or no, because who am I to stand in a judgment seat to decide that what someone else is doing with their life affects mine? But I will say, for me in my house, that will not be going down. For me, and it may be because I do have lots of, old-fashioned tendencies. I just feel as though, yes, a woman has to accept him, but I need for my man to make the choice because they're a little more free-spirited. And because they are hunters, I need them to feel as though if I don't commit to sis and give her exactly what she is requiring for herself, that I will lose her. And that's also too why for me, I believe now, and I didn't always believe this. This is again, Dani, something that I changed. For me, I'm only giving complete monogamy to someone I'm either living with, engaged to, or married to. And we define what monogamy looks like for us. All others, until you've made that level of commitment to me, why am I giving you that level of, like that's you asking me to be a wife and I'm not your wife. You want wife benefits without making me your wife. How, Sway? How? Nah.
Been there.
Yeah, like, nah.
Yeah.
Cooking, cleaning, doing your laundry, fucking you every time you want. Like, no, showing up to your work, like supporting your everything. You haven't made me a wife. Why am I going to shut myself off from all other potential when you have not taken forward steps? And we as women, we do that so much because we think that dating means fucking. It doesn't. Dating means dating. You going out, you having fun. And so that kind of brings me around to this because there are a number of women who feel like, well, I can't have high standards because I don't look like this, or I don't have this amount of money, or I don't have this level of education, or I don't know how to dress for this or for that. And it's like, do you feel that any woman can have high standards? Like, is that something that you believe in, or how do you feel about that?
Or do you, to clarify that, do you feel like a woman needs to have a certain, she needs to have a certain standard for herself in order to have high standards, because I think some women don't feel like they're worthy of having a standard because they may not be physically attractive in the traditional way, or they may not be as educated. Like that's more so what.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I think first of all, that all women are equal, no matter how their financial status, their physical appearance, because you can work on everything. So if it's all about how you carry yourself. And if, there's men who are attracted to all types, like let's say if you're looking for somebody who's very, I don't know, actually, no, forget about that. My mind is going all over the place. The point is, I think that it's all about how you are carrying yourself. So if you want to get a guy who's whatever he is, you need to work on yourself first, and you need to be a match. So if you want a guy who, like, let's say works in finance or whatever, and you don't know anything about finance, but you want to be a part of his world or something like that, you have to work on your knowledge of a certain topic. But I do think all women could get a guy, whatever guy they want, but they also have to be their best self. You can demand certain things if you are not fully happy with yourself.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if that answers the question.
No, that's a perfect answer because it takes away any of the physical and, it takes all that stuff away, because I think that's where most of it lies is like, oh, the physical appearance. I'm not a size 2, whatever. So
totally doesn't matter. Totally. Like some guys are attracted to super skinny girls. Some are attracted to bigger girls. Like it totally doesn't matter. Like somebody's preference,
Yeah, I feel like it's a butter for every bread. It's 7 billion people on the face of the planet. You got heterosexual, you got, bisexual, you have gay, you have lesbian, you have trans, you have gender non-binary. It's somebody who don't like whatever you are. You have to feel so good about yourself that you invite and only accept that type energy. And then when the past comes knocking, because let's just be honest, it does. I was just challenged a couple days ago where a very enticing part of my past came knocking with goodies galore.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, this right here, I want this bad, but this is a part of a life and a part of a person who no longer exists.
Right.
So when you're choosing to, people are, I hear so many women say, there are no good guys, there are no good guys. What are your feelings on that? Like, how do you feel about, for women who always say, well, nobody wants me or I can't find somebody, like, what do you say? How do you even start to put yourself in position to, you know, find somebody who you could potentially like? Like, what's that like for you?
I mean, also you are what you attract and what you surround yourself with. Like when I first moved to Miami, I was just partying all the time. And you can't really, if you're surrounded yourself with people, by the way, that's over now. I'm not partying anymore. If you surround yourself with people who are just like, that's like their life and their goal, I mean, they're probably not looking to settle down. But if you want to settle down, you should look at some, look at him. You should look at somebody who like works or does something. So you can't, you also have to be who you want, like who you want to date, kind of.
I agree with that 100%. I think a lot of the times what happens is we keep staying in the same place and thinking that we're going to get something
else. Yeah.
It's literally like the definition of insanity. It's like, oh, I'm going to keep going to this place. I'm going to hope that one day he just like, I always make fun of my sister because she's always like at the house. And I'm just like, this is not a movie. He's not going to knock on your door. Like, that's not how this works. Like, you are not going to meet the man of your dreams in the house. That's just, unless you're going to fine or something, maybe, you know, that'll increase your chances. But she don't even do that. So I'm just like, so what's your plan to meet this man that you keep talking about? Because
but also, like, you have to try. You can't just, everything happens for a reason. Let's say if I meet a guy, and he's just not good for me and I'm not good for him. But maybe because of some circumstances, I'm going to meet the next person through him. Or maybe the next place if he takes me to this new cool restaurant I never been to, and then I like it and I start going there and I see the type of people that are there, like maybe I'm going to meet somebody there. So like everything that happens to you is leading you towards something that you really, really want.
Right. Like, right. The universe always says yes. So if you're putting yourself in certain situations, and like for me, when I was single, I would go sit at the bar by myself at a really nice place. I would go by myself just to have a drink. And I would just do me. And it was like, when you do that, you're like a big, like a big juicy, I don't know, whatever he likes to eat, a steak. Like the be like, oh, are you here by yourself? And oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah,
are you okay?
Are you fine? I'm having a drink. Like, but they would be so concerned, and then they'd be so concerned that they would just pay for my meal. I don't know. It was crazy.
Thank you.
You know, like, thank you for, you know, because they want to talk to you. They're like, oh my God, who is this woman that is so confident that she'll go out by herself to have a drink and she's not looking for anyone to pay for it? Like that was, I knew that worked like a charm, right? And then I would have interesting dates after or whatever. So it's like, have a plan, have a strategy. Like, don't like be out here trying to like throw things at the wall and hoping something sticks. Like I did the partying in my early 20s too, and was wondering why I kept meeting assholes. It's like, that's where assholes hang out, at the club, girl. That's where they're at.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, how I think sometimes we don't have a plan and we're just thinking it's going to magically happen like a rom-com, you know, and this is not, like, real life is not a romantic comedy. Like that's not how it's just going to happen. You need to have a plan. Go sit down by yourself somewhere. Go, you know, if you like to shop you want somebody to buy you certain things, like treat yourself to that sometimes. Go to places, go to Bow Harbor and just have a day with your girls. Like do the things that you're wanting so that the universe is like, okay, this is where she's trying to vibe. Let me help her out.
Yeah.
You know, you just said something that, so I went through a horrible breakup, and I went through like a bunch of therapy after that. And then my therapist told me, so what do you miss about XYZ? And I said, well, I miss, going for dinner, going to dinner with him, I just listed a bunch of stuff that I miss doing with him. So she's like, why don't you just do this by yourself first? Make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to see, like, why can't you just make yourself happy? Like what you just said, if you want to go to this fancy restaurant and you don't really find a guy who's like going to take you there or whatever, like go by yourself, and you're going to see other men who think that this place is kind of like the place where you should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes for me, I had a similar experience, Kornelija, where I just got out of a really bad breakup at the time, and I went to a psychic. And she was talking about, she put it in like the same thing, but she said it in a vibrational sense. So she was like, if you're vibing at this level, guess who you attract at that level? She's like, she was like, of course, I see you in, with the man of your dreams and all this stuff. She's like, but he's up here and you're vibing down here. So if you're not vibing at the level of what you want, how on earth are you going to attract that? Like, it's just,
it's like you are what you attract.
Yeah.
I mean,
so she put it to me like that. And I was like, she's like, so switch your vibrations up, raise your vibrations.
Vibrate higher.
Yeah. And it was simple things like playing soft music in my apartment, meditating and envisioning myself the way I wanted to do it, doing visualization exercises, like literally changing how I'm vibing so that I could attract. And within about 3 months, I attracted what I wanted. So it like literally was like a science, and it worked like a charm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell women too, because I'm a strategist, so I love strategy. And so I'm just like, if you want a doctor, there are major conferences. I mean, I know we just got out of a pandemic, but there are major, whether it's Facebook groups, whether it's dating sites, whether it's friend of a friend, where you have a friend who's a doctor who can listen, go to where they are. If you want to fly with eagles, you can't go where the buzzards land at.
Yeah.
Those are polar opposites.
It's so different. Yeah. And do you know that there are women, and not knocking it, like I remember when I was like partying in Miami in my early 20s, there are women who know the schedule of the baseball teams, the basketball teams, the football teams. They know like when they're coming, and they know what hotel they stay at. They go to the bar and post up. Like, there are strategists. You have to understand that there are other women out there with a plan to get what they want. And if you're just sitting back, to your
look at them.
Yeah, they literally go, and they have friends that work at the front desk that tell them like, hey girl, such and such basketball team is here, such and such players here staying over here, come sit at the bar at this hotel. Like there's a whole,
they're ready.
They are ready. Now that's not my thing. At least
I'm just saying it's a real thing that's happening. It happens.
Yeah. It happens a lot. And again, I'm going to put y'all up on some game. If you want a philanthropic man, or a man who's like generous or loves to give back or loves community, I want you to Google the major like nonprofits in your area. They have galas, they have
big
clubs
one.
you can join, they have boards you could get on, sit on the board, offer to be a chairman of the gala.
That's a real thing. You should have gave that away for free. That was somebody needs to pay for that. You should have. They might need to edit that out, because
I'm saying, where there is a will, there is a way. Women who say, oh, I can't find a good guy, I call bullshit. You are allowing your fear of what could be stop you from making a move and say hello. I have plenty of times gone up to a dude. Now, I'm not asking him to marry me, but I have plenty of times gone up to a dude and be like, I love how you're dressed. You smell impeccable. What is it? This is just, we're like, oh, but I can't do that. You can't speak. Like, you talking to me. So
but that's confidence. It's the confidence for you. And as we wrap up, Kornelija, just like in a nutshell, like, what do you feel like is just the biggest misconception around having those high standards and high maintenance? Like, what's like the thing that just people completely miss and misunderstand?
I've something similar that I said in the beginning. It's like, you think that just because you're high maintenance that you don't give back to your man. I don't take any insult when somebody calls me high maintenance, but I'm just I'm giving so much to my guy. Like I'm the best. I never been married, but like I'm the best possible girlfriend. So I'm giving so much to my man because I want him to know that I'm the best girl for him. And that's why you can expect certain things from him. But if you are not willing to give, I'm not one of those, they're calling me entitled. And I mean, I don't really care what people call me on the internet because they know they're just very unhappy. But they're calling me whatever names, but I'm like, you never. And they're like, well, what do you bring to the table? First of all, I'm not going to explain
oh my God.
to you, user 5755. I'm not going to tell you what I'm bringing to the table. But a real man doesn't even have to ask that question because he recognizes a woman. And and that's the thing, high maintenance is not a bad thing, but we never said that I'm not giving the same back. So that's, I feel, the biggest misconception, that they're saying that women who are high maintenance, they don't treat their men with the same level, that has the same high or whatever you want to call it.
Do you think, to kind of elaborate more on that, do you think that a woman needs to, like when they say, well, what do you bring to the table? And when you talk about you giving back to your man, does that need to also be financially? Or do you believe that women give in a different way that has more value necessarily than may have a financial price tag?
Yeah. I mean, also when you're dating somebody, we all want to be, shower with gifts and stuff, but there's a time and a place for everything. So like, let's say if you're going through a rough patch, I'm not expecting him to pay for everything. I'm going to contribute to whatever I need to, I'm going to pay for whatever needs to be paid. If he loses his job, I'm going to jump in if I have a better job. So it's like a give and take. Yeah. But, wait, I kind of lost track. Can you say it again?
I was asking, like, do we need to also financially, pretty much?
So I feel that women give so much more than just like financials aside. We give so much more. First of all, we give you children, number one. Second, we make your home a home. Yeah. So you, like, when I start, like, if you date a guy, like you come to his apartment, he doesn't even have a vacuum. Like, they're just, they don't know how to, they don't have, they're like, oh, I don't want you to mother me, but I'm like, sometimes you do, honey. Like you do.
Yeah, like there's no food in your fridge. Like I might need to like get you like some groceries.
Yeah. So like after a long, let's say if a guy has a super long day at work and he comes home, and I mean, I still believe in the traditional way people live. Like if a guy comes home, or even if I come home, like I want him to make the place nice for me. I have food, I have drinks, I have like something cool to watch on TV, or we're going to go somewhere fun. Like you're giving him, you're making his life easier. So that's like, I think the whole point of a relationship is to make the other person better and to just make your life better with that person. Like if you think of your life without that person, would it be better or would it not be better? So it's like, I give so much to my guy and I want to make him feel special every day of the week. So, and I expect the same in return.
Right. And that's why you can have your standards. So that's really the answer, is like, you can set your standards based on what you are willing to give and do, based on how you feel about yourself. Is pretty much like Kornelija says, you are what you attract. So I love that idea of kind of thinking about it in that sense, because anybody can do that. That doesn't have a dress size. That doesn't have a skin color. That doesn't have a financial status. That's literally just how you feel about yourself and how you're willing to show up in the world in your relationship.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And the last question, we're going to let you go, but what would you say to the 20-year-old version of yourself about dating? What would you say?
Wow, that's a good question. To the 20-year-olds, I honestly, all these things that I'm posting right now is because I wish somebody told me that when I was younger.
Right.
And I just, you shouldn't apologize for what you want. And you shouldn't, I mean, this is such a cliche thing to say, but when I say don't settle, but like really don't be with somebody who is not making you happy. And also a really important thing, what I would tell to my 20-year-old, like if you see something is not making you happy, and you can try to fix it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, but like if you just see it's not working, just like move on. There's a new person. I remember my first heartbreak when I was like 17. I'm like, I'm never going to love again. But you will love again. It's going to be hard if you're like so in love with that person. But there's a time that you're going to meet somebody that you really want, you deserve. But you also have to be okay with yourself. So like, Just don't stay with the wrong person too long because you think it's going to change, because it's not.
Or you think that there's nothing else out there.
Yeah, there's always something else out there.
Always.
I mean, and every guy has their own set of weird things and things that annoy us. But like also every woman has some weird, crazy. Every girl has a little crazy in her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot. But yeah, I just think that don't stay in a relationship that's not making you happy.
Yeah.
That's really important.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So now where can we stay connected? We want to make sure that all of our listeners can stay connected with you. So where can we follow you?
I have, everything is under the same name to make it easy. So it's Koko Beauté, Beaute. I have a TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And yeah, that's where I'm posting regularly.
Awesome.
Daily.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, this is great.
A breath of fresh air. Thank you for this. I love everything that we discussed, especially high maintenance doesn't mean that I give you nothing. So it doesn't mean that you're now in a position of being depleted. So thank you for joining us. And I cannot wait to continue having conversations. And to my Trigger Happy family, if you are not already, make sure you are subscribed and follow us on all social platforms at Triggered AF PC. See you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Triggered AF. Remember, don't be consumed by your triggers. Confront it and then work to release it. Whether you leave us more triggered than you came or you're feeling like you've been open to a new perspective, our hope is that you've grown. Make sure to share this episode with a friend who's trigger happy and tag us while you're listening. We can't wait to hear from you. Until next week, pull it together, girl.